A few years have passed since Hollywood's frenzy for young adult dystopian franchises like The Hunger Games, Divergent, and The Maze Runner. This makes Uglies, Netflix's new adaptation of Scott Westerfeld's 2005 novel meant to launch a trilogy, feel somewhat outdated. Directed by McBabysitter, Killer Queen, the film attempts to capture the essence of its famous predecessors, even bringing on Divergent screenwriter Vanessa Taylor, along with Jacob Foreman and Whit Anderson, to craft a script that touches on familiar dystopian themes, personal transformation, staying true to one's values, and identifying the real enemy. To its credit, Uglies does address a timely issue. In 2024, with plastic surgery and body modification dominating beauty standards, it's a relevant topic for young people. Unfortunately, the film delivers its message in a clumsy, flat, and unconvincing manner. Much like The Hunger Games, the society in Uglies is a harsh, post-apocalyptic world ruled from a garishly bright capital city, where the elites are visually distinct from the general population by their clothes, makeup, and appearance. However, this description overstates the production design's effectiveness, which relies heavily on CGI and flashy effects. After a rather over-the-top exposition from star Joey King about the oil crisis that led to the apocalypse, those unlucky pre-crisis folks are called Rusties and the flower that supposedly saved civilization, were introduced to Tally Youngblood, played by King, in her boarding school dorm. The film's simplistic, exposition-heavy script wastes no time. Tally and her best friend, Pieris, played by Outer Banks' Chase Stokes, share a potential romantic bond, but Pieris is set to undergo surgery the next day. They promise to stay true to themselves after the surgery, but things don't go as planned. After the procedure, the now pretty Pieris becomes distant and cold towards the ugly Tally. Tally, meanwhile, must flee from authorities who immediately detect she doesn't belong, using a bungee vest and hoverboard. Many aspects of this story struggle to translate convincingly to the screen, especially the idea that any of the photogenic actors, particularly King, could be considered unattractive. While escaping, Tally befriends a fellow student, Shay Brienne too, who plans to join a rebellious group called the Smoke to avoid the surgery. When Shay disappears, the sinister Dr. Cable Laverne Cox gives Tally an ultimatum: infiltrate the Smoke, expose their secrets, and bring back Shay, or remain ugly forever. Desperate to become pretty, Tally, who suddenly displays unexpected action hero skills, infiltrates the Smoke, falls for its leader David Keith Powers, and begins to question the pretty's lies. There are firefights, superhuman pretties including Pieris, and regretful plastic surgeons along the way. I'm recounting this plainly because there isn't much substance to it. The film fails to build on its potential themes of rejecting beauty standards, especially since everyone looks gorgeous, or exploring who benefits from those standards. Most elements of this adaptation are simply absurd in an unamusing way. Stokes, at 31, is unconvincing as a 16-year-old. Characters randomly reference Henry David Thoreau's Walden Pond, and there are awkward scenes of Tally obsessing over her supposed flaws, such as her blue eyes and mild asymmetry. It's also uncomfortable that Cox, one of the most prominent trans actors in Hollywood, plays a villain whose surgeries to improve people are actually harmful and mind-altering. Everything about Uglies feels synthetic, from the cheap-looking CGI typical of Netflix productions' overly bright, flat colors to the dialogue, which is stripped of any nuance or character beyond what's necessary to move the plot along. Joey King, a naturally likable actor, does her best to bring some warmth to the role, making Tally a bit more engaging, even as the character makes questionable decisions. But even her charm can't fully elevate the material or transform Tally into a compelling protagonist. Despite its supposed message against turning humans into artificial beings, Uglies itself comes across as just another forgettable product.